Hello, it is I, the captain of this ship. I'll be piloting us down the information highway. Definitely not drunk. Probably. I'm a captain hat. I got a head of hair. It's kind of like a captain hat. I haven't had a head of hair in years. Well, what's left of it anyway.
Be more
Okay.
opportunities for
We
hyping
cannot
things up and
hear
getting
you.
more
Yeah,
excited.
you
This
can.
is just
Yeah, you
more so
totally
to
can.
answer some questions
You
from the
said to clean your
community
ears
and
out a little bit
make sure
first.
that we can give some love to some folks. And then with that, we also
It's
have
fine. I was adjusting the
just a
volume.
reminder that the cosmetics will be swapping over for flavors of Fellerin, and that will be April 12th,
It's a
2023 at
leopard,
11 a.m.
lion,
Pacific.
ram,
Reminder of
goat.
that. And of course,
I
for
like
those
it,
of you who
honestly.
are
Wait,
content
hold on.
creators, we do have a
Wait, wait,
content
wait,
creator
wait.
program that you can check out. You can,
Hang,
for
hang
those
on,
of you
hang on,
who
hang
are
on,
content
hang
at
on.
11 a.m. Pacific.
Yeah, I think the only part of this I like is the weird ram thing. Alright, fair enough.
Reminder of that. And of course, for those of you
And
who
I think
are
I just
content
like it because it's
creators, we
special.
do have a content creator program that you can check out. You can go to our um, like FAQ database and type in content creator and it'll show for you. But we are currently just taking applications for that. I know a lot of content creators have been asking when we're going to do invites. Those invites will probably be closer to when we're getting to Alpha 2. So as we start ramping that up, you'll probably be like, what's happening? But we will start sending invites closer to that time frame. Right now, we're focused on just application phase, which is a lot of folks. And we're very excited that so many people are interested in
Is he
joining
wearing a
us on
robe?
this crazy adventure.
Is he wearing a robe
And
by a
with that,
fireplace?
I'm going to hand it over to
Classy.
Stephen to give us a little preface before we show you a little
Yes.
walkthrough of Carphin.
So,
Or was
some
that
of you
like
might
a
have seen
weird,
maybe some leaks that I did in
like,
Margaret's absence while she
open
was at
sweater
PAX.
thing?
Oh, I
I'm
saw.
I know,
fascinated
I'm
by what
sorry.
he's wearing right now.
But this month we wanted to showcase
Huh.
the Tower of Carphin from a lore perspective.
So
And then in addition,
they talked about the
we
Tower of
wanted to
Carphin. Oh, they
showcase
teased
some
it. They
systems, new
teased it last
systems that have been
stream.
brought online from a narrative perspective
Okay.
as well, as it relates to our story arcs. So this is a deep dive in both the lore of Carphin, as well as the system of our story arcs and how they change the world around you to reflect different chapters and or paths that story
Is
arcs
he
will take
talking
based off of
something
player
like phasing?
activity. You'll see the world change a little bit. I want to preface that, of course, this.
So I'm assuming that's like phasing because it's really hard to do that when you have a bunch of people, you know? I actually kind of like phasing. I know some people don't because it's like everything is a little disconnected. Two people are in the same spot. They can see each other, but they both see completely different stuff around them. But I actually kind of like it. I think it's good storytelling. And I think it's a much needed storytelling mechanic in games, especially MMOs, particularly, I should say. Trying to think of what the first game who did it was. Like I know World of Warcraft did it fairly early, and they did it. It had its hiccups, but it was pretty well done. The biggest instance of that I can think of is Wrath of the Lich King when it came out. There was a lot of phasing going on in the Death Knight area. I don't think if anyone else did it earlier than that. I mean, I think Guild Wars 1 kind of did, but that's also a little different since it just who's the host? Okay, the host version of the world is the one we go with. Sort of thing. So that's not really the same thing. Can't think of anything older than Wrath of the Lich King that was doing phasing. I think Anarchy Online might have had some very rudimentary phasing, now that I think about it.
This is all a work in progress. You are taking a look at something
There
that
wasn't
is
much,
still
though,
very
if they
much
did.
in the alpha.
I don't think that even happened
in
until,
the alpha
what was it,
phase,
Shadowlands? Not
both
Shadowlands.
visually and in
Wait,
particular,
was it called
you'll notice
Shadowlands?
before the transition of the zone, which happens about 6 minutes
Their
into this video,
fantasy
you'll see it in
expansion
the
thing.
non-active state, and there's some lighting there that we're still fixing, and some of the materials and whatnot. But you're going to see it in the corrupt state
I love
after
lore.
the,
I mean,
6 minute mark, and it's pretty gnarly.
so they're going to
It's
show
pretty
us some of the
awesome.
phasing.
Yeah, it is absolutely.
It's just
Cool.
it's neat. It's different, and more dynamic, and I think that people are gonna like it.
Is it a jersey? I guess it could be a
Yes,
jersey.
so
It looks
you guys will
too. It looks too
enjoy.
thick around the
See what it
cuffs. It
looks
almost looks
like.
like a sweatshirt, like an open sweatshirt, or like a. Actually, they make robes like that. Summer robes. It could be a summer robe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another stream from Vera. We have been building
We set
up,
to.
I think, to this moment a little bit
manual instead of auto.
in the showcase for the tower at Carphin. And I think there's been some lore that
I'm
we
guessing that's
released
the tower.
during last November's Extra Life live stream. We played through a portion, I believe, of this tower. And now we have an opportunity to take a look together, a little sneak peek.
The moon ain't having a good time up there. I wonder if it hit the tower.
This area and the
You
lore
think?
behind it. And we're
Popped it
also
like a
going to take
balloon?
a focus with some of the developers that'll be joining us.
I like tabards on armor. Not enough games use tabards. I think tabards look great, especially when the armor elements around them are designed with it in mind well. Damn, a good tabard is nice. But not like guild tabards like WoW has, because that's kind of a mess in its own right. But like tabards just designed into the armor, so it feels like it fits and is cohesive. Kind of like this one. I really like tabards.
Here in a second, I'll introduce them into the system of our story arcs.
The Paladin
and
in
how
D2
that
had a
system
tabard.
works in reflecting the changes that players
Maybe that's where my love for tabards
elicit
originated.
from the world of Vera. So I want to introduce one of our senior designers, Scott. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing very good. Thank you for asking.
Welcome. Welcome to your design become reality.
Thank you.
Skjort.
This is Scott
Skjort.
has been working
Skjort
on the
Seer.
narrative
That's a
for
good name,
this
Skjort.
particular story arc
It's
that
fun
we're all
to
gonna
say.
see in a second.
Skjort. Skjort.
With his team, with
Skjort.
whom we are joined by one of our designers, Amy. Amy, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good, Stephen.
Yeah, she's a
Welcome.
soft
This is, I
talker.
think-
Hold
is
on.
this your first time on the stream?
It is, yeah.
That is awesome. Amy is one of our incredibly talented designers who is helping create the narrative around Vera. And you guys
Pay attention to this tree and the wall behind it. Is the tree warping the wall?
may have played some of her quests.
Or is that
in,
like a
Alpha
shadow?
1, actually. One in particular is I believe it was the Lost Pages and the
I think it's part of the visual asset. They have a translucent layer around it, but it's not 100% invisible. It's more like Predator translucent. So as it moves around that, it does. It warps whatever's behind. That's weird. That's weird. Oh, hey, a mini-map. That is an unreadable disaster. I love it.
that Spider
Mini-maps are
Quest.
hard.
Was that right? I mean, were those
So many
yours?
games do them so poorly.
Those were my quests, yeah. Thanks for remembering them.
I know, they're great.
Yeah, I'm super excited to join today.
We're very excited to have you. And then, in addition, we have what is soon becoming a regular on the streams, Mr. Jeremy, one of our senior designers. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Happy to show off
I
Scott's
hate the fact that I
masterpiece
noticed that.
creation
Now I
here.
can't stop looking at it.
Yes.
Story arc is
Oh my goodness.
Laying it on thick.
I know. Wow.
Love it.
pretty exciting.
It is exciting. It is exciting.
I mean, I've always said that nodes is the new hotness that we've been showing, and story arcs are the new hotness we've been hiding.
The new
yes.
Will
Agree.
Smith, is that
Totally
you?
Agree.
I
So
love
one
the
of
way you
first
slap
things that you
with
guys
such
are gonna
authority.
notice in this environment.
You really step into it.
is
Good
that,
stuff,
we
honestly.
have
Like, if
this
you're going to commit,
perspective
you got to
of
go all
of
the way.
tower. And I think, Scott,
New hotness.
do you want to talk a
Oh,
little bit
God.
about story arcs as a system?
Yeah, sure. So it's helpful, I think, to think about story arcs as kind of like a
Okay.
prepackaged tabletop campaign. They contain like all of the NPCs and quests and monsters, like all the things you need to make a cool fantasy story. They're not procedurally generated. We author them, we write all the dialogue, and we construct all the narrative beats and everything like that. But they will enter the world dynamically depending on the state that the world is currently in, how players have
Okay.
built up specific nodes, like what races control various nodes. We have plans to include lots of different things on top of that. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's we don't have
So,
it-
it's like dynamic questing areas, like elite areas in New World, or questing regions in... It's not a complicated name. Brain, come on. Lord of the Rings Online. But the difference is they're not always available here, because it's node dependent and whatnot. Everything ties back to the node system. So basically, it's just a really fancy way of saying it's a confined questing area where you start a story from beginning to end, and there is a narrative arc to all the quests instead of just random... actually, a good way of describing that is probably Black Desert Online. They do the same thing. You go to an area... Some areas are just completely self-contained stories from the moment you step in the front door to the moment you get to the apex of the area and then leave. Castle Delphine? The one that's under attack by the Harpies is a prime example of this. You're walking up the road on your way to the next major city, and suddenly, like, there's just Harpies in this castle and a bunch of people sitting outside like, oh, what the hell's happening here? And then there's a quest guy like, hey, something's going, the castle's under attack, you should go speak to the commander inside. And then there's just a chain of quests on the inside, all self-contained to that area, that kind of tell the story of how things got that bad, in combination with other things that you can like find and read and pick up or whatever. And then it kind of coalesced in you solving the problem. Now, BDO does not use phasing, so you don't actually get to see the results of your actions, but suspension of disbelief, you helped win the siege. At the time you leave, they're just fighting off the last few stragglers, and you're going, at that point, you're going along the mountain ridge to take the fight to the Harpies, to destroy their nests and their eggs, and to take out their leader. So it's like this confined story arc in this one, like, outside external open world dungeon. And it's a really good way of doing quest arcs, and I really like it. And New World kind of... Hello. Hello, we're back. Sorry about that. I don't even know where the hell I got cut out there. But anyway, self-contained stories, really good. More games should do them. They're way better than the old school World of Warcraft way of essentially, like, you got 40 unrelated quest dudes. They're like, hey, go do these completely unrelated things. Half of them don't even matter. Like, I'm hungry for quill rat spines. I eat them like breakfast. You know, it's good to get some carotene in your diet. And somebody else is like, no, screw that. I want lion. Go give me some lion. I'll eat some lion. And then there's a main, like, story arc there that's like 3 or 4 quests long. It's like, hey, we're gonna go fix this one problem, this one specific problem over here. Story arcs are just, they're better. I like them better. And I'm glad to see more games and MMOs utilizing them.
Any quest hubs or anything like that in this game because players build up all the cities.
Same internet's issue.
So we had to get a
This
system
issue has
that
been
kind of looks
going
at what
on
players are doing
for a
and
couple
can
of weeks
inject
now,
content
and it's a really
into the
weird
world
issue
that
because
makes
none of
sense for what they're
the
doing.
none of the rest of the
So,
internet
yeah,
is affected.
The world decides.
It only
in a
seems to
state that
affect
it's in that
Twitch.
We're gonna now play this module. We're gonna, because of the state of the nodes being in this way, and
I'm not even
certain
entirely
races
sure
have
it's our
this way,
internet.
We're gonna play.
It might be, it
Versus
might not be.
Strahd.
I don't know.
We're gonna do Blood Still
But
Do. We're gonna do those.
Everything
modules
else
and things.
is
So
fine. Nothing
one
else
of the things
disconnected
that I
or
find
anything.
most unique about
More
our
MMOs
story
with a
arc system
proper
is
storyline.
that they're
Well, a lot of them
intended
do.
to represent change within the story of what Vera is telling. And
Final
we
Fantasy
don't just do
15.
that through,
That the critically
quest
acclaimed
logs
MMORPG Final Fantasy
and
15 has a
dialogue,
fucking
but also
trial.
by literally changing the environment.
So I've played
and
through a bit
showing
of
these active
like the first
states
25
that
levels of
represent
Final
what
Fantasy
is
15,
happening
and
and
it
what
didn't
choices
really
players
feel
have made
that
previously in the
different than
different
any
chapters,
other
perhaps,
MMO I've played,
in other
honestly,
story arcs.
from a story
Scott,
department.
I know that
Maybe
we
it doesn't
have
really
been
start
working hard on
slapping
this,
until
your team's
later, I
been working
guess, in
particularly
how
hard
the
with
story is
engineering to kind
delivered.
of
But
stand
in the
system
first
up over the
25,
last
30 levels, the
several
story
months.
is delivered exactly like
But
every
you
other
have the ability
MMO.
to push us into the next chapter manually, correct?
Yeah, normally this is a story that would require
Some build, but
us
does
to
the
have built up
storytelling change?
some
Not the story
the
itself.
nodes
Like the
in
content of the story is
area,
whatever.
either
But the
just
way
build
they
up near
tell
us
it,
directly
does it
to get
dramatically
access to where
change?
we're going, or any of the
Mechanically
nodes in the
speaking.
Riverlands could have
Otherwise, like I
leveled up
always
to a
hear
certain
this
amount,
thing about
to have
a proper
basically enabled the story to
storyline, and
spawn,
I'm
but
like,
I'll just turn this on for us now manually.
Let's see.
If that's good.
Get ready,
I don't know.
ladies and gentlemen,
All right.
I guess I can't
Okay.
really talk because I
Push it,
haven't played
takes
through
a
the
second,
Final Fantasy 15
but it will
story.
kick on.
Maybe.
to the Tower of Carphin.
You have no idea. Understood.
And Houston.
There it goes.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
Something's happening. It's rumbling. Oh, jeez. Oh, no. Oh, dear. Oh,
Things are getting
no.
red.
Uh-oh.
The complete
Oh, it's fogging up.
What is
Oh,
that?
no. It's a waterfall of red
The blood?
Kool-Aid.
Oh,
This
the
thing over
blood
here?
still do?
There it is. It's paying right now.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
this is actually... Okay, yeah, this is pretty good
when stories
phasing.
come online, they change a lot in the environment. They update
can see
what
that.
monsters are in the world.
Yeah,
They create quest NPCs. You can see.
that's pretty cool.
Orin, he's not normally here. We've moved him for
Guild
the-
Wars 2 kind of does
sake
things
of
like
this.
this with their dynamic
and then,
events
yeah,
where
new pathways can
things
open
will
up.
change as
through the
events
environment.
succeed, fail, progress.
Is the bridge
complete.
moving?
Yeah.
The bridge is moving.
Oh
Cool.
my
Oh,
gosh.
hey. That's kind of neat.
Oh, that's nasty. What are the vines?
It's it's corruption. There's a very terrible curse is
Kinda
sort of
looks like
remaining
hair.
here after a sort of desperate spell was cast during the
We saw
Harbinger
that.
Apocalypse. You saw a bit of that spell being replayed at the top of the tower there.
Kind of looks like a sea urchin
But
down there.
when the ancients were advancing toward the Aelan capital, where Carphin is sort of strategically positioned between where the Harbinger comet landed and the Aelan capital, the mages here, and Carphin was known throughout the Aelan Empire for its magical prowess. The
Actually,
head
pretty-
mage here.
I don't
did
know
a
if it's just
very
like weird
desperate and
perspective,
dangerous
but
spell
that actually feels like
to
a pretty
slow
large
the ancients'
landmark.
advance, and
Like it feels
That
like
was
the
to
tower
buy
itself is still
time
so
for
far away
the-
from here.
For the capital of Ayla, where they
Pretty
were
sprawling
building one
area.
of the divine gateways.
That's good. I like sprawling
Exactly, yes.
POIs, like
They
big
open
involved
to get out.
POIs.
right, they needed more time. They needed.
But look at how tall that
they
tower
needed to
is
make
still,
space for them.
considering
They
how
did something
relatively
pretty
far
terrible
away.
to do that. It bought them
They
the time,
are.
but as you
Nice
can
jump,
see,
bro.
this
Good jump,
once
good
great
jump.
city has suffered a great cost.
Wow, this is
Um,
cool. I like the little jump puzzle. This is awesome.
That's not really a jumping puzzle. You just press
What is
W and
that?
jump and you
Here all the
make it.
time?
But
The story arc.
it's a good start.
This bridge.
You gotta start
form,
somewhere. A couple easy
this
jumps at
bridge
the
might
beginning,
also
you know.
appear if you've leveled up. Marileth.
Well, I
enough
just
to create
jumped
kind of
from
this
one point to
pathway on
another
Mars.
in a video
There's other
game.
ways to
Must
get
be a
there, but more
jumping puzzle.
dangerous ways.
Is that a
Sea urchin?
What is that down there?
Looks
That's
like a
a
sea
fiend
urchin.
golem. Or a
Fiend golem,
flesh
yeah.
golem.
Oh, flesh golem.
Fiend
Okay.
version, yeah.
Oh, I like how the
Ah.
light just lit up to showcase the body. That's crazy.
A
That's super
corruption
cool.
font.
And now the
I do really like
spawn
jumping
tables
puzzles in
around
video games,
the
but
city
this
of Carphin have
this is not
changed
one.
as a result of the story.
But I mean, if they like legitimately
Right.
want to make those as
So
a piece of
normally,
content, kind of like Guild Wars 2
when
did,
the city
I'm
is
all
not
for
its
it.
cursed state, you've
I
got
have fun
a whole
doing them. I
subset
think they're
of,
great.
Like constructs and various other like arcane
Summoned
things.
Watch
So the
Wolf.
animated armors and stuff like that. While the
Fences, yeah.
while the curse is in effect,
He's
we've got these,
phantasmal.
Watch wolves. These seekers here, who they have their own sort of
Okay.
story and reason for being here while the curse is active.
From attempting to get drinks. Oh, this game. It's still
Yeah.
being updated. That's nice. That tower does feel giant. It's pretty huge. It's a pretty big tower.
Summoning watch wolves.
But they have to jump, though, Joe. Therefore, it is... I mean, I have friends who are so bad at jumping in MMOs and video games that might as well have been a puzzle for them.
unbelievable.
I guess
job
that's
there.
fair.
They did a killer job on this.
Yeah, this
That's
this
fair. I
looks
never
so
understood
good.
having
Well,
trouble
like,
with jumping puzzles.
it's a
They're
blood
not
curse.
usually
I
that
really took
mechanically
that
complex, but,
personally.
you know, I guess it's
They said, "Oh, you want to see what corruption looks
perspective management,
Well, what is talk to us a
positioning.
little bit
I
about
guess there's a lot of thinking that
blood
goes
magic
into it,
versus
maybe?
just
I
normal
don't know.
corruption.
So
I don't know.
yeah,
I've never had trouble
blood
with them,
magic
so I
is a
guess
sort
I
of
don't understand.
illegal kind
the
of
issue.
magic, and using it in any amounts creates a certain amount of corruption in the caster, and that corruption can bleed over into the environments and things that they draw essence from in order to cast those spells.
Series
This
kind of cool. I
was,
kind of like it.
This was a blood magic that obviously consumed a whole heck of a lot of it.
She wasn't intending for this kind of after effect.
No,
Ooh. That was a
yeah,
big.
the
Holy
major caster
crap!
just did not
Is that an enemy
not able
casting
to
skills, or I
understand
think it
the scope
is?
of the destruction that would cause.
Because it was kind of red and bloody.
But
It was
also in the final,
felt like a strong tactical
the
nuke
final
going off
days
back there.
of, ancient Vera during the Harbinger Apocalypse, like
Good
a lot of
sensory
dark
response
there was not
to
a whole
certain
lot of
things happening.
deliberation. There wasn't a whole lot of like magical research and
Oh, yeah, there it
safety
is.
precautions that they could take.
It's the sighted seeker.
So yeah, it did its job, but
He blew himself.
Yeah, it seemed to, like even if it delayed a lot of the progress they made towards the portal, it seemed like they really created a lot of destruction along the way.
Wait, is this just modern red versus blue?
Carphin itself has a lot of history built into the environment here too. You'll see lots of statues and stuff around that go into it.
One of the
Nice
five
stomps,
of the-
bro.
The five main
Your
city-states,
cape
five
physics
main
are there. You
city-states
go.
of
You fixed
the
it.
Aelan people.
Good job.
And
It's a
then they
downside to
formed
capes.
into
They're cool,
the Aelan
but they
Empire
like to
following
get a
the
little
Great War of the
twisty.
Undying with King Atrax.
Right now, so many people are just like, oh my god, we're finally getting lore.
Lore.
We could go
I
all
love
day on it
lore.
if you want.
We could, yeah.
Well, we don't want to give it all away.
So these are like blood cultists, then.
Well, the story is kind of told over the course of 4
Who doesn't love a
phases,
good
4
blood
chapters.
cultist?
Each chapter will update spawns, change the quest givers, change what quests are available, and that's across the server. It's not like your individual progress.
With you on
phases, it's
jumping
the
being
actual quests
easy, but I
themselves
find
you
that it
progress
depends
kind
on
of
how
through
easy the
phase,
game
but
makes
as long
jumping.
as it's
Some
within
games
the
where
window of that
jumping
quest
is
is
terrible.
being
Oh yeah,
active.
true. Like
mean,
ESO has a couple of minor
honestly
jumping
has
puzzles,
as
but the
much
jumping
blood as
mechanics in that
this
game
is-
are suffering.
This is
At that point, it's not really
We're
a
actually
puzzle.
trying to
It's
figure
it's
out the
kind of
science,
like
like, if you took an
getting
entire
over
city's
it, where
worth
it's
of
more
people,
you're just
How
fighting
many
with the
cups of
controls.
blood would you have?
oh no.
Guild Wars 2
Probably
actually has
not
really
very
good
many.
jumping mechanics for jumping puzzles,
Less than
which
you
is probably
think, but it
why
wouldn't be as dramatic.
they decided to go with those as a core
Magic,
Yeah, it's magic.
form of content.
persistent and eternal.
Yeah.
Unless we could
I think
do
there's-
something about this curse.
I think they've slowed down on them because their main jumping puzzle designers don't work there anymore. And I don't think their new people have any idea how to really make them satisfying and good. So
I don't know, Steven, if you stopped and talked to Orn and picked up that quest or not. But,
Oh no, I did not.
oh no,
That's okay. I think you still have
How can I?
all the
Quest
quests that we
sharing?
went
Is there
over
quest
before.
Yeah,
sharing?
let me
Anyone
grab it.
share
How do I
quests?
open
Share
my journal again?
quests?
What is that?
It's
Quest share?
L. That's right.
Yeah, L to open your journal.
Oh
So
yeah,
if you
yeah,
look
yeah.
in
I
there,
got it. There we go.
yeah, you can see there's other story arcs going on as well. The
Quest
phase
sharing.
towers
It's
there
in the
indicate
game.
how
They can
much
just share it to them.
real-world
Look,
time
I guess they
is
probably
available to,
just
like,
did.
do
That's
the
what
quests in
happened.
that phase.
Nice.
Yeah. Good. Quest sharing.
And what
New
quests
World
you
doesn't
do,
have quest sharing,
or
and
the
it
quests that you do,
sucks.
like, it's not just a matter of completing.
Because there's a lot of times where
the
I'm
laundry list
with
of things
somebody
that the
else, and I'm like,
NPCs
oh hey,
do,
I got a
but
quest for this. So
you
I'm
pick from
they're
a
like,
whole bunch of
oh,
objectives, many
if
of them
only you could
optional,
share it.
some
And I'm
of
like,
them,
oh,
if not most
if
of them,
only I
hidden
could
when you
share
first
it.
undertake the quest. So go dig up a guide or
I love
blaze
quest
your own
sharing.
trail
It's
or
good
whatever.
stuff.
But depending on which objectives you complete, those
Quest
are the
sharing,
things that
exactly. Yeah,
help
yeah,
the
yeah.
server
You got it.
aggregate what is going to happen.
It's also
in
hard to
later
say what the
phases of
jumping would
story
be
arc, and
like
that's,
until you
across
play the
all of
game.
the players
This game
participating,
doesn't look floaty, but who knows?
during that time frame, what objectives they decide to complete, that's what drives what happens in later.
Awesome.
What quests are available, what NPCs are pulling ahead of other NPCs in terms.
I mean,
of
quest sharing is a pretty
progress toward
common
their goals.
staple in MMOs,
And
but
how you complete your
New World's just a
quest
weird
matters.
exception. But
Yes.
swimming is also
Yeah,
usually
with
a
some
pretty
objectives,
standard
being exclusive of one
feature,
another, so
but
helping
New
one
World
NPC
still doesn't
with
have
locked craft,
swimming,
helping a different
so
NPC. So yeah,
you gotta pick and choose, I guess.
Oh no. Wow. I'm just taking in the sheer
The
beauty,
magnitude.
but also like a kind of gross beauty.
Look at that damn thing. They're
Um,
still not up there.
this
Look at it.
environment.
It's huge. I
It
hope
is
that's like a full
so
internal
eerie.
dungeon. Like not like a World of Warcraft style
corrupted
dungeon
trees,
where
you
you're
can
just in it
harvest them.
for, But I mean like the whole thing is
Find some
explorable,
of
like the
them
Tower of
in
Nightmares from
the
Guild Wars 2
harvest.
or any of the
Cut them
dungeons
down.
in Ultima
Oh,
Online.
really?
Like just a full
Yeah, they're a little
blown
bit hard to
dungeon.
spot, though.
Like 20 floors of
Well,
death,
also,
mayhem, and chaos.
I
God, I hope we
believe
can go
that
inside.
As part of these environments changing,
It's
you're
huge.
also activating rare resource spawners that might only occur during certain events.
Yeah, that's correct.
Drawing you
So,
instead of allowing
yeah.
swimming.
Corrupted Soul
I wouldn't say most games. Some
Unreal
games do
Formula.
that, yeah.
Or you
But
just put in,
most games,
all the
just
things are
have
only
swimming.
available during certain story arcs. And every
once
story
upon a
arc has its
time,
kind
back
of
when devs didn't want to be arsed
special
with it,
things
and
that you wanna
swimming
try
was a
and
new
take advantage
concept
of.
in gaming, yeah, that
Go
was the
into
thing
your
if you
backyard
jump, like
and swim
old
by,
school
pick 'em up.
games.
Yeah, for herbalism.
Because
for
swimming was too
making certain
complicated, water
potions,
physics didn't exist yet.
Sometimes you want to take advantage of
But
the limited
now that engines
time
can
you have during
easily
the story arcs
handle
to
all of that,
get some of these rare resources
You know.
for crafting things.
That
certain
statue's
poisons
looking
and
nice.
potions from these limited corrupted spirit blooms, right?
Yep.
it's on a lot of pieces.
Sorry, I just disabled my my HUD right now. I wanna this area is just too crazy.
It looks good.
It
It
looks
does.
so
It looks
good.
good.
Jeremy and Hal and Adam, I think, and
That
who
tree is
all- who-
producing
who's all
blood
working on this,
smoke.
Jeremy, who?
Should we be
Zach,
breathing
Brandon,
this in?
Everybody.
Elder
Scott.
Scott.
If this
Yeah,
is
not me.
corruption,
Tristan.
then
Tristan's
by
entire
definition, it
Yeah,
corrupts.
this
Is that good in your lungs?
absolutely beautiful. And talk to me a little bit about the dungeon.
Oh, there is a dungeon.
So
Okay.
the dungeon we're heading to right here, that's the Tower of Carphin. That
This
is
looks like
the main
2009
university
graphics.
That following the War
Maybe
of the
this does
Undying,
not
the
look.
elves
I was
all
playing
these
video games in
humans, there's something
2009.
to
This is
them.
not 2009
Let's,
graphics.
Let's gift them the gift of magic and how. Let's show them the advanced stuff.
You can
Let's
see some
show
of
them
that story reflected here on these murals.
Keep in mind, you're
Ooh.
watching a
Fresh
stream
And stuff.
of a stream.
And we can teach them the way we want.
What
to
you're
teach 'em.
seeing is very compressed.
And the human said, "Yeah, show us."
When they streamed it for the first time, the streaming service
ran
compressed
by
it. Now
the-
that
the
I'm
beams,
streaming it
the
again,
first
it's getting
beams of, the
compressed
statues
again.
back here.
2011?
Look at this.
What games came out in 2011? Hold on. What games came out in 2011? Let's take a look here. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, right here. All right, games that came out. Let's see. 2011. Crisis 2. Dark Souls, probably not a good example. Okay, let's take a look at Arkham City. That was a popular game. It looked pretty good if I remember right. Let's go take a look at Arkham City. Can we get, like, videos of it? Arkham City. Here, let's go look at some images quick. Arkham City. Okay. Okay. This is Arkham City. Looks decent. Not bad. Definitely doesn't look as good as Ashes of Creation. Not even close. The material textures and everything are wonky. The textures are simple. Relatively simple. Putting the two side by side, you can clearly tell which one's the modern game and which one is not. Doesn't have the orange filter color scheme, true. That the AAA studios with ultra-realistic graphics have completely ruined the expectations. I agree, Genghis. So, I think that's a fair point, actually. Genghis makes a really good point here. This is not hyper-realistic graphics, and it is not supposed to be. This is stylized graphics. There's two reasons you go with stylized graphics. First of all, it has more personality. Second of all, stylized graphics hold up a hell of a lot better over time than realistic graphics do, because realistic graphics are always advancing. We thought games back in 2006, 2005 had realistic graphics. Boy, were we dumb back then. Art style suits what it wants, and an MMO should target a wider audience of availability. Also true, it also helps with performance things when you're not going hyper-realistic, yes. So, but, I want to point something out. Hang on. Remember, this is all compressed and then recompressed, as this is a stream being streamed. Keep that in mind. So it's going to be fuzzier and less crisp and sharp and whatnot than it should be, and you're going to see more artifacting and stuff, which is going to make it look worse on your stream. But let's back up just a little bit. Hold on. Where was it? Where was it? Okay. Watch right over here. Watch this area as it keeps going. Just keep your peepers on this spot. Not of the screen, but like in the game. This little area.
Gift of magic.
This area right here. Those are some pretty decent reflections. Chat, I don't know if you realize, that's some pretty good reflections in that puddle of blood.
Chicken how?
It's not bad.
Let's show them the advanced stuff.
You can see some of that story.
The particle effects also
here on
look
these
pretty
mirrors.
solid.
Build them a
Ooh.
university,
Hold on, I grabbed some stuff.
and we can teach them the way we want to.
I was just trying to look around. The lighting is also
human
really
said,
good.
yeah,
I mean,
sure.
look at the lighting. Look at how the lighting disperses into the environment, how it fades out over distance and everything.
We can teach them the way we want to
Had-
teach them.
How the environment tracks the lighting and
the human
everything.
said, yeah, show us. I think we ran by the.
This is
dudes,
definitely
the fresh
modern
views of 'em,
graphics,
the statues
for sure.
back here.
100%.
Oh yeah, we should go look at this.
I really
Look at the texture detail on the rocks. On the, what is that, a fresco? A relief? Either way, whatever that is. Like, there's a lot of texture detail, too. It's not hyper-realistic, it's definitely more stylized, but there's a lot of texture detail here, too. Look at how the light is interacting with this surface right here. How it kind of scatters across the surface, diffuses a bit. Look at how the shadows respond around it. These are very much modern
I love
graphics.
how some of the ornate detail in the buildings have so much symbolism attached.
Now
to
you
them.
can count
It really makes it
pores.
feel
I don't
like
want
there's
to
a kind
pick.
of deep-
Okay, they're going up close. Look at the texture work on this. It's pretty solid. It's pretty good, considering this is just a one-off relief thing. I wonder what his graphical settings are set to, though. Probably that. You would assume in a showcase like this, you'd set it to the highest, but
Like if we go
behind
back
all
this
the
way to
environment.
the.
all the
that's
blood
right, yeah.
decal
back
details
to
and
the
everything.
statues.
Look at the lighting. Hold on.
Go
behind
back
all
this
the
way to the.
environment.
Look at the lighting on the statue as he turns.
that's
Look,
right,
look,
man.
look at how good that looks and how the shadows like it feels like natural lighting the way the shadows are cascading down the back as the light just barely clips over the shoulder and tries to reach down a bit, but can't.
To the statues we ran past.
Oh
Yeah. All
The lighting is
former
spectacular.
head
I really like the
former
lighting.
the university.
Right.
Yeah.
So this one up front here, that's Tanfilaris Rin. He's the elf that came over from the elves and from the Pyrian elves at the time. And you can see he kind of built the tower for them. Started training the first students. And then one of the other towers.
So this is like a mage
his
academy,
best
basically.
student,
Good, good.
Aristod.
Those always end well.
Point out his statue in a bit here. So he was the first human dean. And he's this one here. You can see him kind of with the book open. That was Aristod.
Case in point to Joe,
After
the original
Tanfilaris went back to
Borderlands
the elves
graphics
after
still hold up very well.
We've
Yes, exactly.
We've got,
There's stylized graphics will hold up over time significantly
here
better
is-
than realistic graphics will.
the woman that's Jenica. And the interesting thing about her is that she never died.
The
She
problem
was,
for realistic graphics
into
is
teleportation.
Oh,
And
streamline.
that was her.
That wasn't,
her big,
that was their
area of
streamlining.
expertise, and she just
so the
never
big
came
problem
back.
with realistic graphics is that they're
Thank you.
always getting more realistic. And if realism is the
I see
drawing
what you
point
did
of it
there.
when they're no longer
Yeah.
considered realistic, they just don't look good
Then we
anymore.
have one of
They look terrible.
Lamont's, Orange.
And it's awful to interact with them.
That's Darren.
Like, take
Darren
Counter-Strike.
He
People
was,
used to think
a
Counter-Strike
junior
looked
student
pretty
at,
realistic.
College.
Like,
He looks
Yeah.
like a
Source.
wise guy.
Mm-hmm.
Orin's
Take a look at
family
it now.
is, quite
just go back and have a
they're
gander
quite
at
central
Counter-Strike.
to the story here. There'll be lots of
It
opportunities
doesn't
for
hold
lots
up
of them
well.
in this story arc, actually.
At
That was
all.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the final one there's Klon Xander. He was all into alchemy. So
The
that was his
chains
area of
that bind
expertise.
us.
Oh yeah.
It's a pretty cool
So
statue.
if you see a lot of maybe some potions in the game with a
He's really
Klon
thrilled with
or,
whatever he's
you
concocting
know,
there.
Xander's so and so. That's the guy.
What do we have here?
See how the lighting fades out over here
Just
into
a
shadow
very
as it gets
normal
further away
looking
from the
door, probably
source?
Nothing terrible
Oh
in there.
no, I
Well,
mean
I-
this mural.
Like, yeah. All right.
Oh,
All right.
The humans asking the Pyre for help with magic.
Mm.
the period.
Period.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Pyrean. Yeah.
How much of this is propaganda, though,
Teaching
versus
Teaching
reality?
Taylor, or the alien at that point.
Yeah, the aliens.
Enlightening their minds, by the way.
Over here.
Good visual representation. Clean,
Oh,
simple.
the
Not a lot of...
room.
Either that, or he's
Tower's
giving them a
construction
lobotomy. I'm not sure
photos.
which.
Phases of the moon. 3 moons.
The 3 phases.
So far, I'm playing this. No, I think it looks good. Yeah, from
Perfect.
that perspective, anyway.
They
I'm
also
I'm
have
interested in
the
the mechanics of it as well. So I'm definitely
If you notice
playing
on
it.
the doors,
It's
you have
always
a lion
propaganda.
head on
It
one
sure
side
is.
representing
Sadly.
humans and a griffin head on the other representing the elves.
Who are the guys pulling the doors open? Just a couple of guards.
Yeah.
What is this sandal? oh. Oh my god.
The meme continues.
I'm sorry, that made me cough a storm.
Monetization scheme.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious. I love it. All right, so
I don't know if they've 100%
what is our
settled on
objective
a
here? What are we looking
monetization
for
scheme.
inside right now? Now, this is just the entrance, the foyer of the tower of the university.
Yeah.
So
Which is
we're not
so
going to obviously
multi-level
take you
something.
through everything. A lot of it's still a work in progress. Always remember that this is a work in progress right now. This is part of the Alpha
They're
2 experience. You'll be
pulsating.
able
They're
to
happy to
explore,
see us.
delve
This is
into
how they
this
say
dungeon.
hello. Yellow, buddy.
So, what are we going to see in here?
Even more corruption and blood.
More blood.
It's got a very Count
for
Dracula
sure.
feel to it, you know?
Bell.
The gong is cool.
It's very red.
Yeah, I guess it is a bell. Bowling.
Oh my god.
Although I have to say, while this looks pretty cool, one of the coolest dungeons I have ever seen from a visual standpoint are still in New World.
This looks great. I love this interior.
Especially like the
lighting
Tempest's
is
Heart.
so
It's a
moving.
really cool looking dungeon.
Oh my god, this is like the supreme
And even
edgelord
like
environment.
Take a look
what
around
is
at
it, the
this.
lost one,
Just
black
over there,
powder and
we can
Kind of
whatever.
my style. So.
But after we look around before we hit the treasure.
Even the gothic-esque lamp with
They have
the
really
nasty,
good
like,
visual
flesh
design for their dungeons in New World. Like
environment.
spectacular visual
Oh, God.
design.
Ah, we have some loot. Is this like a treasure chest?
That's a treasure chest.
Whoa!
Oh hell no!
Oh no no no!
You
not
get
like
that mimic
Nuke it from
looking
orbit.
some.
Nuke it from orbit. Oh, thank you. Perfect.
Where'd it go?
Where did it go?
I hate mimics.
Come here.
Why? Hey Raider, we found a mimic. I seen like 5 minutes of
Oh
this.
my
I
God,
need a
this
nap.
thing is
Okay,
crazy.
remember.
Look at
Remember,
it. These are
Raider,
just
the mimic.
the entrance mobs.
It's just the entrance, yeah.
Oh no!
A wizard tower would have a mimic, wouldn't it?
Oh,
It has mimics 10 out of 10. Yep.
No, this guy is nasty. Now these tend to do some nasty things when they die, right? I mean, this is basically like a, what is this, a hoarder?
It's a
AKA
hoarder.
mimic? No, I'm just kidding. This looks...
Baron Hoarder.
Get away from it! Get away!
It's trying to
Run!
heal.
Get back, get back! Ah!
Oh, jeez. It's
No!
got 0
You're
health.
pulling it into the party!
Okay, good job, team. Good job. We got
Oh,
it.
that is nasty.
So it looks like. So, what was that mechanic? It goes into a state where it technically can't be killed, and it heals health based on you attacking it. And then, depending on how much damage you do while it's in that phase, when it gets up and walks at you, it probably does more damage. So, obviously, when it comes to mimics, mimics are all about a one-off trick. Because once you know about the mimic, once you understand the mimic is no longer a threat. So, designing a creature around a sudden gotcha moment, like the gotcha is the first time you run into it, you keep attacking it, trying to kill it. And then suddenly it just gets up, walks at you, and explodes for all the damage you just dished out to it, and it wipes your party, you know? That's never going to happen a second time. But it's hilarious when it happens the first time. Sick looking mimic. Yeah, the mimic looked great too. It was a good design for mimic. I like the little, like, insect legs coming out of the back.
This is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, they did an incredible job on this. It just looks so good.
Well, is there anything
It'd be
else
great to explore that dungeon.
that you guys want to touch on from the story arc perspective? What kind of come out here?
Who
I
do
guess
you
there's
think
one
uses
thing
those
that I'm curious
giant
about. I
knockers
mentioned
up,
how you could
up
do what
top
you
there?
needed to
Do you
do,
think giants use this
as long as the phase,
academy
like, if you do any quests
at some point?
available in that phase while that phase
Because those
is
were way up there.
available.
They
So
were
what
pretty
happens if you,
huge.
you
I
know,
don't
miss
know if
something,
any of the
vacation or
wizards
whatever, you
here
can't-
were going to
you
be
can't log in during
knocking
the
on them.
week
I don't
to
even know if a
state when the
giant could
quests
get
are
up
going on
here
in the phase of
though.
that story arc. For
They're
most
also
story
only
arcs,
at
they
the
do repeat
top of
after
the
they
door
complete,
on
they
the
go on a cooldown, and they
inside,
will
so
repeat
that's for
again.
like getting out.
You'll have another opportunity to get involved with them the next time
That
they
doesn't
come
make any
through.
sense. I like it.
For our big major, like, world
The statues are life size. Oh, really? Well, that makes a lot of sense. Still, it's even at that point, even life size, it's still like children trying to reach up and grab the knocker.
You
You know.
can replay them. There's a different system for replaying.
But fair enough. Did I hear
previous
giant
phases for the
knockers?
big
Yeah,
main
they
story
were
arcs.
huge, TZ.
However, decisions and objectives you make in those won't count toward your server's what's canonized for your server.
They make a mighty
which is
fine
their way of saying,
pounding, that's for sure.
What decisions they make for the objectives and stuff that you completed.
And all this goes to really kind of creating that
What is
experience
surprise mechanics on their
of
stream?
player
Well,
agency being
keep in
being
mind,
seen.
this game's still like 2
Through
years
world
from
building
coming out.
and
By the
actually
time this game
changing
comes out, with all the
locations,
release
the
hype and everyone
environment, the
oohing and
story,
eyeing and
how it
everything, most of the
influences
people aren't
future
going to
arcs
remember that.
down that path for the world to kind of reflect it.
How you
And
doing,
it's such
palm
a
trees?
unique, I feel, environment
I know for a fact
between
I will not
different
remember that in 2
servers
years.
and the histories that they
He had
create.
a player in high school that always wanted to play
Exactly.
his ranger because he hated
Jeremy
mimics.
said it really
Picked
well earlier. when we were
monstrosities as his
trying to
favorite
help
enemy and
figure out the right words to
because
describe
wizards
these
towers are
very
normally in
complicated
cities, he
systems when he
picked
said,
urban
yeah,
for
there's
favorite
definitely,
terrain.
There's a
Smart.
different in MMO you have different
And
philosophies
if
on
I'm not
kind of
mistaken, there's
storytelling.
mechanics where you
We're going to
can
more old school,
detect
like
your
the
favorite
world
enemy,
has a
right?
story, and you're playing within the world story. And in our case, you're helping
I've
to
never played Ranger,
guide that
but
by the decisions
I
that you
think
make
that's a
while
thing.
doing your quests and the different players. If one goes one, you know, if a bunch go one way and a few go the other way,
Or
they
you
kinda
can
canonize
tell if a
that.
favorite enemy of
And
your
more,
type
you know, more
is
recent
around
MMOs
or
have
within like a certain
just
proximity
focused
or
the story on the
something.
player and used instance and fading, you know,
Ever
phasing
put a
to
mimic in any
tell
of their
individual stories
adventures?
at
That would
different
be huge. The upside is monstrosities is
times
a
and at
fairly
different
common enemy type, so you'd still get use
durations.
out of it,
We're more
even
old
if there
school
were no
saying
mimics.
the world is evolving. You participate in how the
Ranger's
world
great,
story
yes, there are
is going.
detects. Okay,
More in
perfect.
the how UO and EverQuest and
UO Ultima Online,
those
that
games
was my
did
jam.
it. You
Look at the blood
Yeah.
dripping on the wall.
image.
That's a nice
Everybody is
touch.
playing it
Shadows,
in the same
too. Wait.
world, and the state of
Correct.
that world is something that everybody.
Wait. Are the drips leaving a shadow behind them?
Yeah.
Lineage.
They are. It's like a double layer. There's the translucent layer of the drippage, and then there's a hard layer behind it. The drips coming down the wall are leaving shadows.
Yeah.
Everybody is
Yeah, you can even see the delay behind it of the shadow cascading down as light moves. The viscosity and thickness of the liquid changes.
playing it in the same world.
That's a nice touch. I like
The
that.
state
That's a
of that
good.
world
That's a
is something
small
that everybody's
detail,
playing
but those
together.
small
Oh,
details
thank
add
goodness.
up.
Absolutely.
I feel
Well,
like one of the,
oh, go ahead, Amy. Sorry, go no.
one of the. Oh, I was going to say that one of the major goals.
Oh, I
feel like
put
we have
mimics in,
is
just never
to-
when they were in the
is to
cities. We
allow
really had to
player
stretch to try
decisions
and
to have
find them.
consequences and to have meaningful results from the decisions that they make.
Like,
So it
if
seems
this
like
is the kind
people
of
can really
effort
create their
and
own
attention to
stories.
detail they're putting into the whole
Absolutely.
game, like every dungeon,
Phenomenal work,
every
guys.
area, every major
Well, I
point
wanna
of
thank
interest,
you three for joining
that's
me
going to be
help
huge.
kind of
Like,
give
this game's
players
going to
a
be
peek-
great to
a
run
little
around
peek
in
under
and
the
explore.
hood for the Tower of Carphin as I train your party. I apologize. And I cannot tell you how beautiful and unbelievable this area is. I mean, the
Wait, it's the Elden
artists are
Ring!
just- train your party. I apologize. And I cannot tell you how beautiful and unbelievable this
Wow, they have the Elden Ring crossover. Wow. How cool is that?
this area is. I mean, the artists are phenomenal. So,
They did a killer job on this.
so
So fun to go into.
with that being said, we're gonna go run back to the stream. Super exciting stuff, and we will be back
Okay.
with you in just a moment. Thank you, guys.
A couple of times it wasn't as fun because the character had knowledge of them, knew they were his favorite enemy, and would use the primeval awareness everywhere.
Woohoo! Love seeing the reactions in chat whenever.
This is
stuff
why you
started
make their
changing on the
wagon they
screen. I was
travel
like,
in a mimic,
yes.
but a patient one. It'll
I hope
growl
that
when
you
someone
are as
is
excited
alone
as
with
we
it,
are
but
for
never shows
the
itself
questing
until it tries to
system
eat a
and
party member mid-travel.
content
Yeah.
and
That's
how
a
it
great
interacts with the
idea.
nodes.
Yeah, and this particular dungeon
What's that
is
noise? Was that a mimic?
big one. It is a massive one. It is the largest in the Riverlands. And it is a major quest hub for Alpha 2.
Major quest hub. Cool.
So this is
So people are going to be
guys
able to
will
go.
probably
So
be
there's like
spending a lot of
multiple
time in
phases of
this
this area
dungeon.
too. Like this is before the corruption
one of
breaks
the key
out and everything
takeaways from
goes,
the system, from the system side of this, with regards to story
to
arcs.
pure chaos.
Story arcs
You
was
can still
something
kind of
very
see
early
some of
on,
the elements here. Yeah,
that
there's
we
still some of the corruption decals
decided
and
was
whatnot, but
necessary to
the
facilitate
blood and the mist
how
and the
players
fog and the
interacted
haze and the
changed
lighting
the
is all
world,
very
right?
different.
We have this context of
I wonder
of
what
a
happens up
very
top that causes
world-building kind of
this.
oriented game with the node system, and then we needed something complementary on the narrative side that can actually facilitate the feeling from a player's
What do you think
perspective
happened up there?
of my actions have consequences. My actions
Maybe it was
direct
Taco
the way that
Tuesday.
the server goes, and it had to be adaptive. And I noticed there were some
They're
questions.
showing the facing again as
and I
things
apologize
change.
for
Yeah,
that.
The
I've got
blood
some
starts
questions
running
about that.
down there, or
Yeah, I
the corrupt
apologize again
liquid.
for being sick for this stream, but we had some. I saw we had some questions.
He's
about,
sick,
like,
so
you
it
know,
is probably
can I
a day robe
redo
or
different
a summer
chapters
robe.
of the story arcs?
Okay.
And yeah,
Fair
as that chapter is present, these story arc chapters, they exist for potentially days at a time, so that people have an opportunity to kind of move from story arc to story arc, do things across the world. We don't want a narrative system that is like highly dependent on dailies or weeklies, where you kind of
Good. I
feel
hate
this
dailies. Weeklies I don't
this
hate as
need
much
to
as long as
log
they're
in to
reasonable,
stay
but
competitive,
I
and
can't stand dailies. I
it
hate
becomes a
dailies.
chore and not
Exactly.
really
You're not having fun anymore.
indicative
You're
of the
just
type of
doing it because
gameplay
you
I feel
need
as
to.
MMO players we want to have.
As soon as I
And
get
so
into
the
that
story arc
grind in
system
a
is really
game to
meant
where
to
I'm like,
provide
oh, I got to do this
these
stuff.
many
I
cycles
have to. I don't
of
want to, but I have to.
interactive
As soon as
and
I get to that
compelling
point in a
stories
game,
that
I'm
are
done with
occurring
it. I'm out.
simultaneously
I
around the
leave.
world and direct the future
As
story
soon as the
arcs
game
that
becomes
come
nothing more
next,
than a quick
based
checklist
off
of
of
things
what
I
branch
have
is
to do every
taken
day,
as an outcome of the
I'm
particular
out.
story arc. So, for example, in
So
the Tower of
refreshing to hear he
Carphin, there
doesn't
are
like
two
that either,
ways
so
that this
that's good.
particular story arc can end. It can end with a boss encounter at the top of the tower, or it can end with a boss encounter that's at the ground level in the supporting
Daily
city
checklist
around the
is
tower.
at best one dungeon.
And
That's good.
and
That's not bad.
when one of those branches gets
Like, there's always going to be
gets
some things you
decided on or
do,
gets
you know,
interacted with
part of your
on
routine, your
the
ritual.
um,
But I don't want to feel like I
on the
have to do
narrative
them.
side,
I want to feel
that
like they're beneficial
dictates
to me, so I
future
want to do
branches
them.
of the story
You
arcs
know?
that come thereafter. So players can go back, and if you do the
Diablo 4 is a good example of that
do
right
the
now.
boss
I don't
fight,
have
and
to
your
do
friends
anything
log
in
in later and they
D4.
want to go do the boss fight, you can participate.
Well,
in
you
those,
kind of have to do Nightmare
in those
Dungeons to get
chapters
your
multiple
cliffs leveled
times,
up,
right?
but
You're not locked
that's
out
part of
completely.
the level up grind, so
With the
that's
major
something
story
entirely
arcs,
different.
when
That's your
the first
progression.
when the first
But
branch is
otherwise,
decided,
I don't
that
have
is
to
a bit
do
of a
anything else. There's a lot of
canonization
things
for
I
the
could do.
and it creates
There's
a
some
really
things that I
interesting
probably should
linear
do, but I
story
don't
arc
have to do anything.
history that each
I just
server
go and do whatever the hell I feel like doing.
experiences differently
A hell tide
from
just popped.
another.
Hey, I'm not doing
And that, I
anything right
feel,
now.
is
I'll go
something
jump into that hell
really has
tide.
never been
And hey,
represented
if
in
I don't feel like it
MMOs
right now,
before.
there'll be another one in
One
an
other thing I
hour.
want to say is that
The world bosses are
for
probably
those
the
of you who have been
biggest
following the Ashes development since
thing, but even then, you don't have to do them.
2017 and
Like, they have a
2018,
pretty good drop
um,
table for
we've
loot,
talked a lot about how
but
corruption, this red influence, and the use of
you know,
this evil-esque type
they're
of
also
magic
only one shot at that loot
influences
table,
the
so
world around you.
you don't really
And
need
this
to
is
do
a great
them.
example in the
And
city
Nightmare
of
Dungeons
Carphin,
have,
where you
higher
can
Nightmare Dungeons
see
have pretty good
how
loot
a
tables as
variant
well,
of
so.
that corruption blood magic variant
So
has its own
D4 is
style
handling it
guide,
pretty well
its
so far. We'll see if that holds
its
up or not.
own,
And the Tree of Whispers isn't a
indication of
mandatory
what
thing
is
or
what is
anything,
going
which
on
is
in this
good.
area.
They made it better,
And
thankfully,
we've
because it was pretty
we've always
terrible,
been
but
in Alpha 1. You kind of saw a few of that in a couple places.
I feel
where
like it could
corruption
still use
influences
some
back in
work.
21. But really,
But
it's
it's
a large
definitely better.
part of how these zones adapt and
Good
can
dailies are
change,
optional world bosses that
around
spawn
you.
in an instance
Corruption
once
is
a
always
day.
trying to encroach
Yeah,
on
something like that.
civilization.
That's
That's
not
a-
The
terrible.
larger
We-
civilization builds, the
We did
more
have some
it pushes
people
back.
asking questions.
Daily checklist is your
regarding,
antithesis. So I play Guild Wars 2.
corruption. And I
Still.
think it kind of ties in with what you're
It's been
saying,
like 13,
7 Six is
12
asking,
years.
will
I still
PvP
play it.
PvP be
No,
the
11
defining
years.
reason
I don't know,
for
something like that.
corruption? And you're kind of
I mean, I
like
guess if
saying
you
that
count
no,
the
it's not.
betas,
No,
all
no, no,
the
no, no.
betas and
So
closed
the
betas and
PvP is
whatnot.
tied into
12,
corruption,
pretty close
right?
to 12 years.
To a degree.
But
Your mortal coil, as we call it, or what some might consider a soul from your character's
like
perspective
that
in the
game
story,
goes hard
be
on daily
influenced and
checklists.
can be
Like that is so
changed
much of the
into a
content in
shape
Guild Wars 2
that's
at this
more
point.
in tune with corruption, and
Getting
that's
your
through
strikes
doing
done.
PvP things
They
you can accomplish that.
weeklies and dailies.
But really, when you think about what corruption is a representation of the ancients' magic, the ancients' hatred,
the magic
the
gone
ancients'
awry,
desire
their
to strike
failure.
back at the creation of what the gods who banished them to the void
Yeah, it makes sense.
have tried to accomplish on Vera. And so corruption is this influence of the essence that permeates around locations in the world and tries to pervert what that creation is. That really is what corruption is.
You know,
I kind of like that idea of corruption better than, like, so I love cosmic horror, I love eldritch stuff, you know, big fan. Most games, when they do corruption, that's kind of the angle they go with, but the problem with that is, in an MMO environment, having those big looming, questions, you know, like, what is this? What does it mean? What's the purpose of it? Like, having something from outside of the world that doesn't really have any meaningful explanation being a major driving point in the world is always kind of weird and feels a little hollow, even if it's cool visually and well represented from a thematic standpoint. But from like a lore standpoint, it's always kind of weird and falls a little flat. Wildstar, New World, they both have their idea of this corruption, and they both. I don't know what the hell New World's doing with it. New World might be grounding it in reality a little more, but it's from some kind of alternate dimensional entity that doesn't like being trapped where it is and wants out. And the whole goal of corruption in New World is to get to the point where this entity can be freed. So, I mean, I guess that's a little more grounded. That makes a little more sense. But then you still have all the questions of, well, where is this other place? Why are they? And these are questions that can't be answered and won't be answered, because if you do answer them, they're probably not going to be satisfying anyway. So it's kind of weird. So I kind of like the corruption, the idea of corruption in this game just being the ancients failed, everything went wrong. This is what lingers of their magic, their hatred, what's left of all of their rage at their fall, at everything going awry, and it's just tainting everything. And they failed, so they don't want to see anything else. They're not even really there. This is just like leftover emotional imprinting at this point. But they don't, like, their raw emotions don't want to see anything else succeed. So it's all about ruining everything. That's a good representation for corruption. I actually really like that.
What that disgusting
And it's
foot.
grounded in the lore.
That's
Like,
the
the
one
questions are there,
situation
they've been
where I'd be
answered.
okay
You
with
kind of
socks and
have, you at least have the
sandals,
baseline. Now it's more about
Just gonna
sussing out the
say,
specifics,
put
the
it out there.
finer points and details.
Sandals great. The environment team,
Understanding,
by the way, I think
They
you
always
all
sneak
out
'em in.
there. Yes, they do. But I think everyone who's watching really can.
Anyway,
give some
Guild Wars
hearts in
2 is
chat
really
that
big
our
on,
environment
to get
team
back
is
to my
absolutely
previous line of
phenomenal.
thought,
And you're just seeing
really
kind of
big on
first passes
dailies.
on these
So
environments when
many,
we
and I
alpha,
hate it.
Zones. Really, this
Strikes,
is still not near
both
where
daily
we
and weekly
intended.
stuff
Yeah.
for
You guys
strikes.
watch
Fractals are
improvement
daily.
month after month,
You got your
and
raids, which are
test environment
weekly,
after test environment.
if you do
But
those.
the
And
idea is to create a rich
you got your
world
actual dailies,
that
which is
is
where you get
visually
an injection
stunning
of gold
and
into your
compelling.
personal
And
economy
I
from
think
doing
that
like the daily
the
dailies, the open
mood
world
of this
dailies.
particular zone,
Then you've got daily
is
like
well
world bosses and
communicated,
stuff.
through what the
It's
environment artist team has been able to accomplish.
there's
And
so
how it
much to do.
changes
There's
with
daily
like, the mini quest
crafting that
stuff
you.
is pretty amazing.
There's oh
so.
my god, there's so
and not
much.
just our environment team, but also
Yeah.
our tech art team as well. It did a phenomenal job in assisting creating this area.
Which is a
I
bummer.
have a few more questions. I did want to mention because some people were asking about the icon in the corner next to Steven's nameplate.
Oh yeah.
That little icon is actually his like secondary archetype that he hasn't unlocked, and that will change.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea there is
The little lock icon. Okay, so he only has one of his classes essentially chosen. This game you multi-class. You pick two, kind of like Guild Wars 1. Guild Wars 1 did that. Guild Wars 1, you picked your base class, and then you picked a secondary class where you would have the ability of. I'm trying to remember exactly how it worked. You got all of the stuff for your main class, and then when you picked a secondary class, you would get a selection of their available skills and talent, and, skill lines and whatnot. I don't think you got the choice of all of them. Some of them were restricted, for sure. But, I mean, it worked out pretty well for Guild Wars 1. It was a pretty cool system. I liked it. It allowed for some interesting building.
indicate through the party UI so that you can see kind of secondary class choices that are made, and that can be changed. Of course, players can reselect different secondary archetypes.
Well, it also
between the
resulted
specking,
in
but your
Ranger
primary
Mesmers,
archetype
though.
remains the same, and that gets unlocked when you do unlock that.
Wastrel
Yeah, and
Rangers.
so people were noticing that we had one of our
Bunny
folks
thumpers.
with a sword over their shoulder, and they were wondering if that's a new idle animation and when that happens, or if there's going to be more stuff like that, or
Sword
if they
over the
can
shoulder.
select which ones they have.
So our animation team, Chris Myers and a few others, part of the feedback that we got from the tank demonstration when we were holding that two-handed sword was that people would like to see variants of the types of non-combat idle stances
Yeah,
that
yeah,
can
yeah.
be had with certain weapons. And so we
It's always
decided to
good, and it makes the
introduce,
world feel more fluid and
you know, a
natural.
variant of that with
Like,
having the shield
you're
rest
just
on the
sitting there. You're not just
shoulder.
be sitting there like this with your
And
sword
that
the
is
whole
something
time.
that we'll be
Like when you're
exploring
just
further
idle and
to see
passive.
kind
It's
of
like
just how
this is
much
exhausting.
runway we can
Now
get
you're
out
gonna
of
have the flat of the blade on
custom
your shoulder to
and/or,
take the weight off your
selected,
arms,
idle
or you're gonna
stances.
have it
I know we
kind
wanna
of down
add a
to the
lot of,
side.
flavor to the
You
character.
know, holding the hilt and the
And
blade going down
persona
that way, so
you,
the
that you have,
the
and obviously
tip
idle
flat of
stances
the
can be a
blade
part
will
of
be
that
resting on
as
the
well.
ground, or or
Right.
you'll
And then
have it cradled,
Galadian wants to know,
something
will
like
this
that.
environment change based on season as well?
So it just makes your character feel a
Yes,
little more
so,
real, I guess.
the vast majority of environments in the game have some seasonal
I
interaction.
do love good animations. They
Some
can really
environments
make
have
it.
4
Yeah, here
seasons,
they're
some
showing it right here. He's just kind of chilling with the flat of the blade resting on his shoulder. That's good. I mean, it's practical. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, having animations like that, especially good, detailed, smooth, clean animations, are huge. Like, what's one of the biggest things people compliment about Guild Wars 2's mounts? Have you seen the Raptor animations? Hold on, let me see if I can find another video. We're going on a tangent. Hang on, everybody. Let me go ahead and hold on. Let's close that. Close that. Open that. Let's specifically go Raptor. Here we go. Here we go. I think this was the original video I watched way back when. Hold on. Okay. And let's go back to the beginning and make sure we got quality up here. Alright. Watch the animations on this raptor. Watch all the detail and personality that goes into this raptor. This is your mount. It's got its tongue out, it's panting, its tail's moving around a little bit. Your character starts scratching its neck, its leg kicks. I wonder if they're going to show it in motion, too. Because even when it's active and doing stuff, its animations are super clean and well done. It's very satisfying. I think they're mostly just going idle animations here, right? They're fishing for the next one. Are they going to get it? There's another kind of neat idle animation. I think that's what they're going for here. Is it going to happen? It's going to happen? Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? The raptor shakes and almost kind of throws your character off a little bit. Okay, I don't think it's going to happen. Doesn't like they just go and their body shakes and your character has trouble maintaining. And then there's this one. There's 3. And then your character also responds by going into scouting mode too. Oh, there it is. There it is. Then your character's just like, wait, what? Bro. This is really good animations. You love that raptor? Like, Guild Wars 2, like, I give it a lot of flack for some of the things it's done wrong, like turning the game into basically one giant... Oh, here we go. See, look at how clean and smooth these animations are. The camera works a little rough. And then the stopping animation, the starting animation, all the animations are so good. It makes actually using mounts in Guild Wars 2 an absolute treasure and a delight. It's the best part of playing the game is just running around the world on a mount. But anyway, that's just kind of to my point. Like, really well done animations can ground you into the game. And just add so much character. Don't fight the raptor. Add so much character and personality to a game, which is otherwise, you know, can be otherwise limited based on its engine and graphical capabilities. Like, Guild Wars 2 does not excel graphically anymore. I mean, this person's probably running on fairly high settings, it looks like. Not maxed out, but they're on the higher end. Like, the game's just dated at this point. It's kind of old. It's not terrible looking, but it doesn't look great either. It's got terrible draw distance. And because of some of the limitations, certain areas, like this area here, can kind of lack personality. But you're not paying attention to any of this anymore, or the lack of personality. You're now paying attention to the animations, and the animations are adding personality. Even some of these NPCs around here will have similar kind of animations and stuff like that that really ground them into things. Is that a firework? Cool. Alright, that's that tangent.
Environments have two. And, you know, you can see that demonstrated, mainly through like snow but when it enters the corruption state outside of weather, in that corrupt state, you will probably see a little bit less of the influence of the season because really it's adopting that corruption, which
It
is
becomes
in and of
blood
itself
rain.
is kind
No.
of a season. Yeah. Exactly.
Rain isn't the same in this area. And then
That's good.
Waifu was wondering, because Aimee had mentioned, oh yeah, you can harvest the trees and things like that. If there will be like special types of
Yes.
trees
Materials,
and
so
things
you
of
get
that
like
sort for
blood
special
sap or
Yeah.
crafting
something,
items.
or like flesh
Corruption
wood.
isn't all bad
That
from
sounds
a
dirty.
gameplay perspective, from a mechanics perspective. Meaning that certain types of resources will have a corrupt state, and it will be necessary for you to acquire. We have a spirit bloom, which is a harvestable
That's cool.
herbalism plant. But when a zone becomes corrupt, you can potentially yield corrupted spirit blooms. And those are necessary components of certain crafting recipes. And
Yeah, having
so
some rarer materials that
corruption
you can.
also
Okay,
services the
yeah.
idea that
That's
as the
good.
zones change and adapt to reflect, the different statuses of corruption or seasons, so do the harvestables. And that's an
That's
important
something I like
part
to
of the
do in
overall
MMOs. I
economy.
like to just go out and
All right.
harvest. Like that's
And
probably
then
about 60% of my guild, or not
Fly
guild,
wants to know.
New World
This is
time.
an
It's just
open
going
world
out into the
dungeon,
world,
right? What
harvesting
prevents others from
materials,
just waiting until
and then
you're at the
selling them
boss and then killing
or
you and
using
taking
them.
your boss's loot? And then related to that, what
Just
prevents mega
seeing what I
guilds
run
from
into, seeing
just
who I
owning
run
an area
into.
and preventing you from accessing or
Maybe
enjoying
maybe
it?
I
I did
wander
see a
into the
couple other
elite
people
area for a
asking
little
this in
bit while I'm
different
going
terminology,
by.
but okay.
Maybe I
So a couple things there.
maybe I
First of
find
all,
rattle bones,
first
rattle my
thing is we
bones
don't want, in the majority
out in
of
the world,
cases,
kill
we do
him, get
not
my
want to
sweet named
prevent
item,
another
my
group
ambush
from
shards, you know.
engaging potentially in PvP. We disincentivize it
Harvesting, good harvesting
by
gets you out into the world, exploring and interacting with the world. Good harvesting is a great addition to any world-based game. Whether that's open world survival, whether that's an MMO. I love good harvesting, especially when you're harvesting interesting things and you have a reason to go around to different areas to harvest. Corrupted stuff. Hey, this area is corrupted right now. All right. Oh well, normally I harvest over in this area because I like the stuff I get here. But that's a limited thing. I'm heading over. I'm coming, baby. Let's do it. Daddy needs some flesh wood. I thought it was looking for high places to jump off of. That is a side product, a byproduct of harvesting. Yes, I do try and find as many high places I can jump off of. And this isn't just a New World thing. I do that in every game I play. If I can see a high place, I want to go up to it and try and jump off of it. Freud would have a lot to say about that probably, but still.
creating safeguards within the flagging system that make that decision very concerning for the people that might go corrupt, right? And if you're in a large
Wait,
enough
players
group
can
of
go
numbers,
corrupt?
I doubt you're going to experience that unless there's some rivalry between guilds, in which case, like, there's apparatuses like Guild Wars that
That's
are
kind of
more
cool.
opt-in. You can drop Guild Tag if you want. But anyways, the
We
competitive
should
nature
play
of this
Harvester,
environment
maybe.
is a PVX
Maybe for
element.
Spooktober.
However, in situations where we want
Assuming I can.
to
Is that on
contain
Steam? Is Harvester
a
on Steam?
particular type of raid, we will utilize instancing, and that can protect certain engagements
Assuming I
with
can
certain
figure out where to
bosses.
get a copy
But
of it.
that's really
It's a
more on
pretty
the
old
20%
game.
of 20% of the scenarios will have instancing protection like that. Around 80% of the content is open world, where competition is healthy. Competition is an instigator for soft player friction, for potential cooperation, for the ability to yield alliances, and the political, theater that comes with it. So that's an intended part of the PVX design of Ashes. It's a core philosophical point.
All right. And with that,
And just to be clear, that is not for everyone. We are not trying to make a product that appeals to every MMO gamer.
Smart, because
That's
you're never going to
impossible.
pull it off.
And so we've been
So many
very
games have tried
upfront
and failed.
forthright with what we are trying to accomplish and what our core pillars of philosophical design are. And that's an okay thing.
But
and if
you also
the
can't
thought
design
of player
MMOs for
competition of
hardcore
potential
PvPers
threat and
either,
soft
because that
friction,
fails every time
is
too.
not
See,
one that
soft
resonates with
PvP
you,
is good,
there are
even
plenty of
if
games
it's
out
not
there
optional
that are not focused
always.
around those
But as long as it's not like
philosophies, and that's
hardcore, like you
entirely
lose or
acceptable.
drop everything sort of PvP, it's usually fine. Most people can
that, I'm
tolerate
going to
it.
move on to our art.
It's
We have
fine.
a lot of cool art to share.
Especially
with
if
you
it's not
all,
always in
the
constant,
character
you know?
And, concept
And then it
team
adds, like you
have
said,
been
that certain degree
kicking
of
some
competition
booty.
and friction to the
And
world.
the first one here, actually, you saw these, but I think being able to see them kind of in like a 3D element here
Hey,
on their
bunny.
own. These are the statues from Carphin that were being worked on. And you can just see, I
It's a
mean, you
nice
saw how
statue.
massive these things are, but the detail. And as Jeremy, I know, was
Those are the
talking
ones
about
holding
the
the
lore
chains
behind
for the
these
door.
different folks.
I assume they're like golems that pull the door
except for I
open,
don't
because
think they had
that's a big door.
The ones that were holding the chain, they didn't have the lore for that. But I'm sure they'll write something up if they haven't already. But yeah, they've gone into a lot of detail for these people and like what they're wearing and what they're holding and the symbolization of that.
Robes and a book.
Yeah,
And
these are
then
great.
we
love
did
the,
One is for
oh, go ahead.
reading, the other
I was
is
just gonna
for
say, I love the
not being naked.
massiveness that it really adds.
See,
to
I
the
could
environment to
solve
have
all these problems. Like, put
large
me on the
character
lore team.
statues.
I
And
got
they
you.
are, as you guys heard from a lore perspective, they have great relevancy to the
See
story.
the
of
belt,
what
the
came
cinch
before you.
there.
So,
That's to brace their
it's cool
core,
to kind of
so
dig
they
into
don't get a
that and
hernia while
weave
pulling the
throughout different
chains.
narratives as well.
Nailed it.
And then you did see in a previous live stream a few of the Carphin weapons,
Ooh.
and these are just some more that are being worked on.
Normally, I don't like the way bows
Very
look in most
exciting.
games, but that's kind of
So
nice.
I'm sure folks will enjoy
Was
getting
that like?
that loot. I know there was questions about why
Stats
the
look
hoarder
cool
didn't
too.
have loot. There
I
will be
don't think I
loot,
care
my
for that
friends.
spear. It's a little too
Yeah.
much. It's a little over the top for me,
Remember
but I do like the bow and the
everything
staff.
you guys see, is not going to be fully comprehensive of what we would expect in a finished MMO product. You're getting
Was that like
snippets
longbow and
of
short
very
bow or something like
specific
that, or like
demonstrations, and this one was about the
war
area
bow
of
and
Carphin
reflex
and
bow
about
or
the story
something, or
arc
deflex
system.
bow, or
So we're
influx
very
bow,
still
or
in development, very much
or
so in
stick and string
development.
bow, or I don't even know what kind of
Because of
bow
that,
that is.
we're aware of what's
Recurve bow,
outstanding, of what we
decurve
want to
bow.
show. That doesn't mean that
Oh
we're not
god, is it
cognizant
a
of that fact. You
It's a
guys are seeing
composite
it.
bow, isn't it?
We know it exists, and we have things that we're still working on. And
If you put a
that's
pebble in it, it's a
acceptable.
Of
slingshot.
course. And I like Alex Xavier's. They're like, they're a baby hoarder. They haven't found stuff to eat yet.
Yeah, a little
Baby
baby hoarder.
hoarder.
It is a small one. I'm sure there's going to be.
Yeah, a little baby hoarder.
It is a small one. I'm sure there's going to be. Yeah,
a little baby hoarder.
It is a small one. I'm sure there's going to be.
A small one. I hate mimics. It's just a baby. They get bigger. Oh, good. It's just a small one. You realize there's going to be a boss mimic, right? That's the implication of that statement. There's going to be a mama mimic out there somewhere, and she's hungry.
Be bigger ones.
Yes.
Baby
and then, of
hoarders like
course,
Brad
we
Pitt and
had,
Angelina
like
Jolie.
you saw,
Exactly.
The little pustulas in the world. Creepy, gross stuff.
That is, I wouldn't eat that
You can see
mushroom.
the
I love
concept
mushrooms, and I would not eat that
of
one.
those.
It does not look healthy.
We have some costumes. This is the autumn collar. I know they're trying to get this in for some NPCs that they're working on.
Looks great.
Nice looking outfit.
And then also the giant slayer.
Love it. That looks
Which-
like a very painful armor to fight against.
Well,
Looks
I
like a
mean,
very
there might be a
painful armor
reason
to
why we
wear.
need the giant.
Notice I see a distinct vulnerability in this armor. I feel like there's a weak point here somewhere that could be leveraged against the combatant. An area that might, I don't benefit from some protection. Maybe a couple of those spikes as a deterrent. Well, you gotta be careful when you sit down, especially if you got a little bit of a belly. You might impale yourself at that point, but I feel like something was overlooked here. Personally, I kind of generally like the overall like silhouette of the armor. I just hate spikes. I hate spiky armor. I can't stand it. I think it looks atrocious. Spikies are too edgy for me, bro. I really think heavily spiked armor just looks awful. Now the overall layering and silhouette and stuff of it,
Love it.
I'm cool with
That
it.
looks like a very painful armor to fight against.
Well, I'm a giant slayer for a reason.
Well, the
and then
giant
we've
tries to
also got
grab
the
you.
Alpine
So,
Baghorn.
okay, so this is giant slayer armor. So I guess that is the point. You probably don't need to protect your codpiece unless he's flicking. More specifically, what if a giant tries to pick you up? Grab you and pick you up? Those spikes are practical. Practical spikes I can get behind. He comes out, he's grab you, just pierces into his hand, and he recoils, and then you give him a pedicure or something. Practical spikes. I'm okay with practical spikes.
Which is
Smart.
awesome.
It's good thinking.
So cool. Like,
Oh, he's cool.
it's so fluffy. Next up,
He would not survive
we
well
have
in
shown
the
some
desert.
of our race
It's a lot of floof.
additions as we've gone forward and adjusted things, and now we have another update of a couple of them. So we know we got a lot of feedback on our dwarf friends, and now you're getting to see a little bit more of the female
Okay.
dwarf here.
Nice chops.
From Mutton Chops.
Strong chops.
I love them.
The meme
A little
lives
bit more
on.
stout.
Cool. Yeah.
Almost a little gnome feeling in the face.
Looks great.
Gnome.